And that brings us to our last item, this landline telephone. Now, it can't text, it can't take pictures, and it can't store contacts, but it sure can make phone calls. How convenient and how retro!
And now, a special feature. Cookies laced with anthrax. Good.
Hey guys, welcome back. So what we've decided to do is we're going to look at Robocop now as a standalone movie. Obviously Marty's got a lot more experience with that movie. It's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
So why don't you kick us off by telling us what you think of the movie and how much it means to you?
The original movie. Wow. I could go on forever about the original movie and what it means to me. But basically, just to set the sort of scene for everybody, I remember being about 6 or 7 years old, and this movie was released in about 88 or something like that, so it probably took like a couple of years to come out on video. And I remember like one afternoon or evening, my old man sits me down and he bought Robocop on VHS, so he had the proper video. He didn't record it because my old man used to love recording movies off Sky Movies and then keeping them like that, but this is one movie he actually did that, made the full effort and bought the actual video.
Oh, okay.
He sat me down, he took it out of the box, he put it in the VCR, I said, "Here, son, watch this." And he left me there to watch what is an R-rated movie at the age of about 6 or 7 because he knew that I love robots. So I'm sitting there watching this ultra-violent movie, and at the end, I just like, as soon as the credits started, I jumped up and it was probably something like, yeah, that was like one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's very graphic, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a 4-year-old, does that not like faze you? Does that not?
No. See,
not at all.
When I was a kid, I remember specifically on my 8th birthday, my old man put on Child's Play 2, if you've ever seen Child's Play.
Yeah, of course I have, yeah.
My 8th birthday, he casually puts on, because it's on Sky Movies about 8 in the evening, he sits there and he's watching it, and I'm sitting there watching it as well.
Wow.
No big deal. That's a funny thing. My mother wasn't happy about it, but my old man never sort of sheltered me from anything.
Yeah. And you haven't ended up doing too badly in later life, have you, mate?
No, I haven't killed anybody.
We've yet to kill somebody.
So as I wrote when I got this for Christmas, this is a man movie. It ticks all.
I said that to you.
Yeah,
during
you said it as well. Yeah, it ticks all the boxes. You know, blood, guts, action. I mean, you saw all the scenes. You saw the bit with the rapists, and they're going to rape the woman, and Robocop comes along,
shoots him in the dick.
Yeah, and he shoots the guy in the dick. Fucking brilliant. You wouldn't have got that in the movie yesterday. But at the same time, another thing that's important, I think, about the movie we just watched and the remake is the directives. Now, I never told you about those last night because they're very important. The 4 directives he has: serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. Those drive Robocop. Even though there is a human inside there, obviously, because he did sort of go after the criminals who killed him for revenge.
Yep.
He still has to act within those 3 directives. When he's choking Clarence and it looks like he's about to kill him, uphold the law comes up, and he has to uphold the law, so he can't just kill him like that. He has to take him to justice.
It does seem, though, he's very quick to kill people. But to be honest, all the cops did in that movie, didn't they?
Well, so did Bruce Willis in Die Hard. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know whether it's a sign of the times or whether
maybe.
I mean, criminals, if they got firearms in the States, they'll shoot them.
Yeah.
And they'll kill them if they have to. I think it's American police at work, to be honest. I don't think it's specifically it's Robocop being brutal for brutal's sake.
I have to ask though. Something I found was I thought maybe the violence was a bit excessive.
You think so?
I thought it was very excessive.
Really?
I think I don't want to compare the two movies just yet, but
Okay.
I don't think the 12A rating on the newer one makes it a bad movie.
I don't
In
think
fact,
so.
in fact, I don't think the violence in this one makes the movie, does it? It's not. It doesn't make the movie. It's just.
Well, it certainly helps.
It's so over the top, though.
I think it certainly helps, and I think the reason a lot of people shit on the movie we watched yesterday, and I agree with you, just because it was a 12A, excuse me, just because it was a 12A doesn't mean it was. I was going to sit down and go, this is a fucking shit movie. Granted, I was probably like every other guy and girl who saw the trailer and saw that it was like a 12A or a what do they call it in America?
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13. They probably saw them and went, oh, fuck.
Well,
because they know that from what they saw when they watched the original Robocop, which was an R-rated movie.
In fact, that was your reaction yesterday.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the cinema and the first person that comes in is a dad with like a 9-year-old.
Yes, yeah.
And they even ask us, like, is this Robocop? And Marty just goes, fuck.
Yeah. A 9-year-old's walking into Robocop. Now, back in the 80s when this movie came out, I guarantee there probably wouldn't have been any 9-year-olds in the auditorium. I certainly hope not, anyway. But that didn't make the movie yesterday bad at all. But at the same time, it goes back to what you said yesterday. There wasn't enough of Robocop being a cop in the movie yesterday, whereas in this one you got to see at least 4 different instances where he was just going around busting bad guys.
Yeah, you definitely did. Yeah,
and he was literally busting them as well.
He was.
So yeah, it's I mean, I didn't knock the movie yesterday, but I certainly didn't leave it really pumped up and excited, whereas this one, I can watch this as many times as you like and I will walk away from it thinking, fuck yeah, Robocop, that's fucking what I want. And it's the same, going back to what you said about, is it overly violent? I think it was a sign of the times. Look at the first Die Hard movie, look at Terminator. They were pretty violent. But not over the top. If you don't mind, can we talk about some scenes in the movie in particular? I think I was struggling to kind of grasp the tone of the movie because I was told it was a black comedy, but it wasn't. I never once found it laugh out loud funny. No.
And I found that scene where they shot Murphy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen the scene. They just lay into him for 5 minutes with shotguns, and he remains standing there screaming. We then find out he's still alive after taking all that, blowing off all his limbs and things.
Well, in fairness, they blew off one arm. He still had his other arm and legs.
You're right. My mistake. What was the reason for that, really? What?
In what? What do you mean?
Well, I don't. Why do that? Why? I mean, it just didn't. It wasn't realistic. That's all. He was screaming while he was being shot when really the first blast would kill him. He was on his feet as well the whole time.
Different people act to shock in different ways.
Yeah.
So because he had his arm blew off and his hand blew off and he couldn't believe it, he was looking at it like that.
Sure, and
he starts standing up, and he turns around and they're shooting him. Different people react different ways.
So do you think that was in your opinion, is that a realistic way of?
Well, I don't know, because I've never seen anybody stood in front of 4 psychopaths with shotguns and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
But I also think it's, I think, again, it's a sign of the times again. I think in a lot of movies, in a lot of action movies, if that would have happened, he probably wouldn't have, fallen to his knees or just dropped or anything, because people would go, like I told you yesterday, in the movie we watched yesterday, Murphy's car alarm's going off, so he walks outside and he's hitting the button and he pops the locks on the car and he opens the car door, explosion, and he's just sort of thrown back. And I watched that and I was like, it wasn't...
it's rather anticlimactic to what you've seen.
Yeah.
But in some ways it's more realistic, isn't it?
True, but at the same time, even then, it's an explosion. I was expecting him to be thrown fucking into the next garden,
limbs off.
Well,
yeah, no fuck.
He was just he jumped, he flew back about 2 or 3 feet, and an explosion like that, I would have expected a bit more. And I think people would have felt the same way with this. I think if they'd have shot him and he just sort of dropped, it would have been like, okay. But with this, it's like you remember it, and I think that's another thing they were trying to do. they want you to remember how he fucking died, because they made it as gruesome as possible. I think a lot of it might have been for shock value, but I think it was to make it memorable as well.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to remember that, because I haven't seen a death scene quite like that before at all.
No, it puts fucking hairs on your chest and balls on your bollocks. That's what it does. That's what it does.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Yeah, fair enough. I did think that the scientist guy who was responsible for creating Robocop,
Bob.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah. I thought he was. He seemed like quite a good bad guy initially.
Yeah.
You know, you saw that he was only in it for the money. That scene where he told the scientist to remove the arm, even though they'd fixed it, he wanted the arm gone.
Yeah.
I think straight away he was such an unlikable character.
That was the idea, because he's a businessman, isn't he?
But he was offed so suddenly by the bad guy, you know, and you really had no sympathy for him. I mean, why would you?
Yeah.
So what was the point in that, when really I would assume he would have been the big bad behind it all?
Well, I think they were going for, in obviously an extreme way, showing what the cutthroat world of business is like. He pissed off Dick Jones by undermining him when his ED-209 didn't work right, and Robocop was proving to work well. He got the promotion to vice president. He pissed Dick Jones off doing that. In the
great scene when that robot wasn't
in the
thing.
executive washroom when he starts badmanning Dick Jones and Dick Jones is in the cubicle, he gets pissed off again. So he decides, fuck it, I'm going to crush him. I don't think you really had to have any sort of attachment to Bob or anything like that, but I think it was sort of to set up the fact that this is a very dog-eat-dog world, and Dick Jones is the guy that you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, but this guy was clearly an arsehole, and you wanted to see him kind of get his just desserts, but I don't know whether it was at the hands of the main villain. That's the only thing.
Well, he had Clarence doing his dirty work for him.
Fair point. That was a good point. The other thing, I think a lot of this, because it's the 80s, and obviously you've got to take a lot of that into consideration. But I did find when Murphy and his partner, what was the partner?
Lewis. And Lewis.
And Lewis.
Yeah, not Jack Lewis like the one yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Murphy and Lewis went into the building at the beginning of the movie. Straight away they knew there was about 6 guys with shotguns in there, but they didn't care. They went in there, and straight away they split up. And I just think, even though they're portrayed as hotshot characters, obviously very brave to do that, that's not a realistic police approach, is it?
I don't know. I'm not a policeman.
No, but from what you've seen, you know, no.
I don't know. I mean, look at Die Hard. Bruce Willis was in a tower with a bunch of terrorists, and
but I think he's also going in with a girl as well, isn't he, or a partner, and you want to keep them safe. I think if you're on your own, it's one thing. But to kind of put someone else in danger like that.
You can also sneak around a lot easier on your own. Maybe that's what they were going for.
I liked how in this one they kept, the original one, they kept the family to a minimum.
An absolute minimum.
And I think the idea of them going as well really helped the pacing of the movie. In fact, I think a lot of the pacing in this one was much better than the newer one.
Oh, definitely, you know? Definitely.
By getting rid of that family, it helped to stick to the action, and from the amount of explosions and fight scenes and things, that was clearly the intention, wasn't it?
Fuck all the emotional bullshit. This is Robocop doing what Robocop does best. Who back then wanted to go and watch a movie and sit back and go, yes, I really sympathise with that man. He's a man and now he's a machine. Fuck no, they wanted to go, fucking Robocop.
Yeah.
You know, clotheslining guys into fucking refrigerators and throwing guys into a window, then throw another one and then throw another one before trying to choke him.
No, point taken. And I think a sign of the times as well is films now have to be edgy and darker.
Yeah, I think movies these days try too hard to be clever, whereas this just went, you know, this guy gets murdered, gets turned into a robot, busts some bad guys, finds one that he remembers did all this to him. He starts to get some of his memories back, and now he's on a bit of a quest for revenge, while at the same time upholding the law. It wasn't just him going and being a renegade, because he was still upholding the law, because these were wanted felons.
Sure.
Whereas the Robocop yesterday felt very much that he suddenly went rogue and renegade and was being all sort of... It didn't didn't wash as well with me.
I think the new version
Yeah.
really tried to be smart, didn't it? It
It
thought of everything. It really did, and I don't think once in the original movie did they say we're doing this to help the police officer who'd almost died.
Well, the thing about this one is
he was already dead.
There's that, and the thing about this one is at the beginning of the movie, they the original Robocop, they established they want to build a new city over old Detroit, but there's too much crime in the city for it to actually go well, so they've got to find a way of keeping crime at an absolute minimum. That's where ED-209 came into it.
Yep.
And that's where Robocop comes into it, because they're looking for an answer to keep all the construction workers safe and keep stuff going so criminals don't interfere with the building of it.
The film opens with 3 police officers dying.
Yeah, they're dead,
yeah.
So they're looking for answers, and they find the answer with Robocop.
Yeah.
And that's how... So this whole movie was basically OCP trying to find a way of being able to build their city without criminals ruining it, and they found it with Robocop.
Yeah, whereas the new one was all about trying to save lives in Iran or wherever. Yeah. Clearly it worked. Yeah. Let's implement that over here, but at the same time it's all about this corporation gaining money off that and taking advantage
because
of that.
they said that it's like, oh, he'll hemorrhage. Robocop just being around every second, the company will hemorrhage money through it.
But maybe it's a sign of the times. Maybe the war on terror was really a big, kind of a more realistic way of doing that today.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And obviously in the original as well, there's a police strike that's coming up.
Yeah.
So why have policemen at all when you could have robots?
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of it. Yeah. That's the thing. They're looking to make a super cop. The movie yesterday, I can't honestly knock it because it was a decent action movie, but I think when the modern one comes out on Blu-ray, and you sit the Blu-ray of the modern one down, and then you sit the original one down next to it, and I think you go, choose which one you really want to watch. I honestly would pick this one.
The original one?
Yeah, the original one, yeah. I felt that the remake gave it a really, really good try.
There was loads of throwbacks in it, wasn't there?
And
it wasn't until I saw this one that I
you got it, yeah.
I mean, the theme that was constantly playing.
Yeah.
Lines like, I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, you're not going to forget that now,
No, I'm not at all. In fact, that's what I said to you, that the original was so quotable. What's his line? Oh, I said it about 5 times.
Dead or Alive, you're coming with me.
Yeah.
You also got Your Move Creep.
Yeah.
As well. You know, there's a bunch of this one, like you said, and like I've said. I seriously, when I watched this when I was 6, I didn't watch this for the longest time, and then all of a sudden, my catchphrase, and you can ask Bal this because this is true, my catchphrase for a long time did become, I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah.
Because it's so memorable. And you hear it in passing in this remake, but honestly, what line in the remake are you really going to remember outside of Samuel Jackson screaming motherfucker?
Well, exactly. I don't think you would.
The original movie leaves a hell of a lot more of a lasting impression on somebody. I mean, you've also got Clarence, who's an absolute psychopath, but you get a kick out of him because of the way he is.
He's definitely a more memorable villain, although I do think the acting in the original one is weak.
You really think so?
I really do. I don't think there was a lot of strong performances in there at all.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not huge on that kind of thing.
But if it's a dumb action movie, you don't go into it wanting Oscar performances anyway, do you? Whereas the point of the new one was they were trying to make a serious, more realistic movie, and that's why you have actors like Gary Oldman.
Okay,
and
let me stop you there.
Jackson.
Why the fuck does anybody want to make a realistic movie about a fucking Robocop? What's realistic about a robot cop?
Because I think now, with how far along science is, I think people want to overanalyze movies and they want to.
I suppose, but we went through this yesterday.
Yeah.
I told you last night when we were coming back from the cinema, I said, if you look at robotics as it is now,
yep,
and there's Honda's Asimo, or whatever his name is, it's a great achievement that Asimo can actually get up a few steps. Robotics as it is today, and it's the year 2014, if you made a robot, he would move and do stuff like the original Robocop. You've got to fuck realism. I think that's a big mistake straight away. Do not make a movie and go, okay, we want to make Robocop, but we want to make it really, really compelling. So it's got to have a big family story in it, and we've got to make sure it's really, really real as well. So the critics will go, wonderful, absolutely brilliant.
Is it about pleasing the critics, or is it about making it more believable to audiences?
We're dealing with, again, I'll say it again, we're dealing with a movie that has a guy who's blown to bits, and they take his most vital organs that will keep him alive and go, surround those in metal, give him metal arms, give him metal legs, give him a bunch of computer components, and let's send him out on the beat, and he's going to be Robocop. I can't grasp any sense of realism, and this is why I accept 80s movies so well. What's the point in having any kind of realism in a movie that's about robots and that can walk around and actually solve crimes and bust bad guys and arrest them and take them downtown, when a robot today in the year 2014 has a huge backpack on its back with all its components in to make it work, and it's still only walking very slowly and climbing stairs and shit.
Do you not think that the new movie implemented a lot of today's technology really well, like the way he can look into all the CCTV around the city and see crimes that way?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. But at the same time, you also had things like the holographic sort of computers where they're poking at a wall. And
sadly, you're going to get that in any movie that is about the future.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But they didn't establish in the movie yesterday that it was the future.
No, that's true.
For all I know, they were basically, it's the year 2014.
I think it was a very realistic look at the future, though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
And I think if the war on terror is still going on in 30 years, it's only natural to want to send robots over, to save the lives of troops.
Robots now. I mean, they do have robots.
Well, they're the ones that clear the mines and things,
exactly,
aren't they?
Yeah.
It's a similar thing.
At the same time, they're also very basic.
Yes.
And they have to be controlled by a huge
of course, yeah.
I'm not gonna sort of say yes or no to that question. Like, is it what the future's going to be like in 30 years? Because I'm not clairvoyant, so I can't say, yeah, it will be that way, where they can make a robot cop and have these really cool see-through touchscreen computers like they're holding glass and doing like it's like a hologram on it. I can't tell you, because next year is the year that all the events in Back to the Future Part 2 happen. In some you don't get a lot of that.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's going to happen in any of those movies.
I mean, the power laces are only just being made, so
But you not think in some ways it's unfair comparing the two, because tone-wise they're very different movies, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree.
Both directors tried to go for very different things. The new one was trying to be realistic, dark and edgy and whatever. And obviously the original movie is all about fun and explosions and Michael Bay type stuff.
I said this to you. I guarantee this movie, Michael Bay watched this in high school or college, and this is probably what made him want to make movies. It's got to be.
I was sure it was Michael Bay Sr. that directed it. So,
I know what you're saying, and to be honest, if you think about it, I mean, like I told you yesterday, bare bones, the two movies are pretty much the same. They just go about everything in a different order. Like yesterday,
yeah,
the modern Robocop, he's human. Then they realise, well, that doesn't work, so we've got to dope him down and make him into a proper robot. They do that, and then he finds his humanity again. In this one, he starts as being a robot. Some people say certain things to him, and the gears start turning.
Yeah.
And he I mean, okay, they cut out the bits where he kind of goes from, in the movie yesterday, the remake, he has that awkward transition of trying to be the best of both worlds. In this movie, robot, humanity, clicks together.
I thought it worked much better.
Yeah.
It did. The pace of the movie is definitely much better because of that aspect.
Yeah. But like I said, they're kind of They are the same, but they go about it in two completely different ways. They're dressed differently, if you like.
Very differently, yeah.
But I also think
It's almost like if you gave the premise of Robocop to do different artists,
exactly
they'd do their own thing.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. But I also think that today's movie, they could have just as easily done it back then, the same thing. Literally the same story. The only thing is, it was a different era, and I don't think people back then wanted that sort of really compelling
Yeah,
sort of
and I'm
drama.
sure if you'd have given Robocop to a director today like Michael Bay, he would produce a very similar movie to the original.
It would probably fucking be this.
It probably would.
Even where, like, as we're going to watch now, he gets blown to bits. Fucking brilliant, that is. I love it. And more on World War III. It appears that the Welsh are indeed mobilising. Oh, what's this? Oh, apparently we're fucked. What I was going to say is, you saw the trailer of the original. It seemed like you hate it. After watching it all the way through, are you a fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I'm not a fan of the new one either. I don't think any. I
think then Robocop just isn't for you.
I don't think I've been sold. Yeah, I think
Robocop's not for you.
I like the premise, and I think they're a good. It could be done quite well, but I'm glad I saw it for its nostalgia and for the hype. I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, that you've got to see. And I watch a lot of movies.
It's. Let's face it, like I said, movie critics call this a classic, so
exactly.
you couldn't have gone through...
So you have to see it.
It's like going through life without watching Alien, Terminator, all those sort of movies.
Can you imagine? Jurassic Park, all those...
Well, no, it's one of those movies that it's like a rite of passage, and you've had your rite of passage now.
Thanks, Marty.
You're a fucking man now,
I'm a man
and I
now.
salute you. And that's what it's all about. This has been the Robocop theory. Good night.
Ooh, now I know what you meant by pork. I'd buy that for $1.
No more. Fuck it. Fuck this shit. Fuck that shit. Fuck this shit. Fuck all that shit. I'm done.
God, TV sucks today.
Well, you can kiss all your benefits goodbye.
What? Absolute outrage! I'm not standing for that. You think I'm going to stay here reporting World War III and everything's going to hell? And you want me to be here, just staying here where I've got a wife and kids at home and everything's going to front? And you want me to stay here? I'm not taking it. Good day, sir.